Hey guys, Nerdcules here, and today I'm going to walk you through expanding the storage on your PlayStation 5. Now, my PlayStation 5 gets some use every single day. Absolutely love it. But I've found over time that when I need to update games or when I want to expand my game catalog, there's not quite as much room as I would totally like. 1 terabyte of storage is quite a bit, but as games get bigger and bigger, I'm finding that I have less room for the amount of games that I want to have. So, easy solution is picking up an expandable SSD. Now, the one that I have today that we're going to be installing is a Corsair MP600 Pro LPX. There's a couple different sizes with these. I chose to go kind of middle of the road with 1 terabyte. Some of that was because of cost. Another part was because I found that a terabyte of my console is generally pretty good, but it's just shy of what I'm hoping for. So I'm thinking doubling it will give me all the space that I need. So let's get to it. So there's a couple of things we'll need to do to make sure that we're all set before we actually start diving in to install our new SSD. We're going to want to make sure that the PlayStation 5 is completely up to date with the most recent software. And then you're going to want to unplug it from the wall, take off the base, and set it on a level table. I put some towels here too to just protect the other side of the PS5's casing. The only other thing that you'll need is a Phillips screwdriver. So pretty straightforward. So first thing, we're going to take out our SSD and we'll get a feel for what this looks like. Ooh, it's in a nice that is a thick pad. Wow. That's good. That makes me confident. I haven't opened this yet, so makes me confident that it's all in one piece. Safety information, that's great. You can register it. And then there we go, right in the middle, we have our SSD. Now, I specifically chose this one not only because of the price and because of the size, but also because it actually has a low profile heatsink already embedded into it. You can see it right here. That's really great because if you're putting expandable storage in your PlayStation 5, you'll likely want one that already has a heatsink built into it, or you'll need to add one yourself if it doesn't. So that extra kind of horsepower can kind of warm it up a little too much. You want to make sure that it's protected. So the next thing we need to do is open up our PS5. So if you have the PlayStation logo on the top, then you got to flip it over. Okay, because this side you can access one of the cooling fans, but you cannot access the SSD expansion slot. And now we just need to pop this off. Now, popping this off is a little nerve-wracking, okay? And I have to admit, I've never actually done it. Now, I've watched a few other tutorials online, and it looks like you just pull this up and hold the bottom and slide it. So you want to go up and down at the same time. So I'm really hoping I don't just snap it off. That's going to be really upsetting. All right, had to stand up here, get a little more leverage on it. So you want to hold the base of the PS5, tilt that up on the side, and there you go. Look at that catch too, my goodness, cat-like reflexes. So don't break it. You know, if you're feeling it budge in a way that it feels like it's not supposed to go, make sure that you're not putting too much pressure. But otherwise, it should hopefully smoothly come off, or maybe it'll pop off like it did for me. Either way, we have our PS5 open now, and right here is our storage bay, and this is where we're going to be accessing next. All right, so now we're ready to open up the storage bay. So we'll just gently take this off. There we go, comes right out. Set it to the side. And then we'll take off this panel. All right, so this is where our expandable storage is going to go. So if you see a screw right here, there are some numbers, 110, 80, 60, 42, and 30. You'll see the screw in 110 if you've never opened this up before. And what you're going to need to do is move it over to the 80, but don't screw it down all the way yet. All right, so you're going to take out this screw from the 110 point. You're going to set that off to the side, and you're going to see a little metal ring in there as well. So you need to kind of fish that out. You'll also need to move that to the 80 point once we get the new SSD in there, because it helps to both protect the SSD from over tightening the screw and secure the new storage. So once we have that all free and clear, we're going to take our storage right here, and you'll see there's a little spot in the bottom to plug it in. You can just drop it in so that it's flush, and then simply push it into place. You'll know that you've gone the right amount of depth when the little gold ring on the edge of your SSD lines up with the hole of 80 where you now have to screw. So then we put our little silver bracket in place. And finally, we set our screw down. Now, just note that that little silver ring should be under the SSD. It should not be on top, or you're going to put too much pressure on the edge of your SSD. And then we'll screw this back down. And there we go. Nice and secure. Time to close it back up. All right, once we have our SSD in place, now it's time to replace our bracket or our cover. So that slides into this little buckle spot here. And then we will replace the screw that helped to hold that in place. There we go. Something quick that I wanted to point out before putting this cover back on is you'll see these little grooved slots that help you to know. They help to kind of guide you to where some of these buckles on your outer case should go. And you can see that they kind of have these little pointed parts and then slope down. So they really are meant to just kind of click in and glide into place. Speaking of cleaning, I'm not quite sure if you can see on the camera, but looking at this, there is kind of a fine layer of dust in here. So I'm also going to clean off the inside of this case before I snap it back on to make sure that my fan stays nice and clean and healthy. All right, so putting this cover back on, you can see again those grooves line up. We obviously know the disc tray needs to go right there. So set it kind of right down into these little grooves, and then we should just be able to slide it, and hopefully we hear a snap. So let's see. There we go, perfect. Oh, that's music to my ears. So we know the case is back on. Let's get it plugged back in and format our new SSD. All right, guys, got the PlayStation 5 all plugged back in. Let's go ahead and start it up. All right, looks like we're greeted with this screen, and this is exactly what we want to see, telling us that we need to format our new SSD. So we're going to want to go over to Format M.2 SSD. Click Select. Obviously, don't turn off your PS5. Don't all of a sudden remove the SSD. Great read speed. That's exactly what's advertised, so that's perfect. Hit OK. Then format it. Rebuilding the database. And boom, there we go. So let's go up here now to settings, and now we'll go into storage, and we'll see, so there we have our console storage, right? And you can see before I only had 59.69 gigs free, so I was kind of struggling. But then, oh, there it is. Beautiful. 1 terabyte of free space. So tons of room to install more stuff. And then I also love, reformat just right there. So super easy. If I ever run into any issues, just try reformatting it. But this thing is built to be installed in the PS5, so it's great that it really is just as simple. It's kind of a plug in and get it going. All right, guys, got it all set. Now our PS5 has double the amount of space it did before, which is awesome. Way more room for downloading tons of games in my back catalog. So nothing left to do but to play. Until then, high five and subscribe.